At this time, will you do our prayer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, we'll stand. We'll have Councilman Arona do our invocation and Councilman Saldana do our pledge of allegiance.
Our Heavenly Father, we ask that you come before us to give us guidance, strength, understanding, and commitment to do what is in the right works for the city of Pecos. We ask that you bless all our families. We ask that you watch over Monsieur's son, that all the works that need to be done be successful and come out in great health. This we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, are there any public comments? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. State your name.
My name is Harvey Pierce.
Uh-huh.
Do I stand up or? This is my first time doing
Okay.
this, so excuse me if I'm not talking. I'm gonna try my best. So we had a thing that an issue that we brought up about a couple of weeks ago, and I know I talked to Chief Issa over there, tried to reach out to Art. I know we talked to a couple of police officers as well, and you know, they said they would speak up first as well on our behalf if they had to. So I know we got so about 2 weeks ago, our rollback record was on the you know, driver's property, and they got a warning. It was a warning, and saying that it's a commercial vehicle. So what I did prior to, because last week we thought the meeting was for last week, so we're here. So what I did before coming to this meeting, I went and weighed that record. And to fall under a commercial vehicle, it's got to weigh 26,000 pounds or more. This record weighs 6,700 pounds. So that wouldn't even fall under commercial vehicle because of the weight itself. So he got a warning, so we let that go. And then so this is the warning he got. So we were just wondering, because you know, we are considered, like instead of Texas tow trucks, I don't know if you said can back me up on that, but they are considered first responders. They fall under first responders. I know last year alone, I myself assisted in 3 recoveries. It was a life where 2 people out of those situations actually lived from us tearing trucks apart and helping the fire department get them individuals out of their trucks. Without our equipment, I don't think they would have been able to do that in a timely manner. There was one guy that we tried to get, obviously he didn't make it, but we used our equipment to tear those trucks apart to be able to get that body out of that truck. This was 3 last year. So what I'm trying to say is our record drivers, that, you know, a lot of times when PD calls us, you guys can, it's public record so y'all can listen to the calls, but we're always, one thing that they're worried about is ETA. Obviously they want to clear the road quickly. So if we're having to drive from our house, get across 285, red lights, get to our yard, and then by the time we get to a scene, it makes things hard on us, and it makes a you know, longer ETA. Now, this is Pecos, so what happens here when there's an accident in Pecos? You got the whole community going around rubbernecking it, and you're just looking for, you know, you just add
It is what it is.
more fuel to the fire, and, you know, secondary accidents that can happen, and just PD's not able to clear their scene as fast as well and get on to the next call because they're having to wait on us. So I mean, I just think it would be, you know, maybe give us a little bit of consideration with our records. Now, on the heavy side, I will admit that I'm one of the ones that do I'm a rotator operator. I'm certified. I'm probably one of the highest certified in the state of Texas. There came out a story about it not long ago. So with my experience, I cover Loving County, Monahans, I cover Balmaray, and I'm probably one of the ones that get out there, and with the experience I have, I'm able to do a lot with my truck and assist in these recoveries, or whatever the case may be, clear the road quickly and be on to the next job. So I was wondering, maybe we can get some kind of reconsideration as far as our records go.
So this is in reference to you parking them at your house?
Yes, and we do that as and it's not all of our records. So our rollbacks, our rollbacks weigh actually about 6,700 pounds. They're under 10,000, so they wouldn't even weigh 26,000 pounds. So I don't even think that would probably, you know, it's not over 26,000 pounds. So those rollbacks, that it shouldn't even probably been given a warning, you know what I mean? But whatever the case may be, you know, we'll listen to why it was given. But now my heavy record, which is a rotator, no, that will fall under that category, you know, because it is over 26,000 pounds. But with me, what I'm trying to say is, you know, those records, rotator can be a lot. I mean, I wish I had a firefighter here to help me out, you know, but there are, they're rotators. They can go keep one lane open. We're able to lift trucks up with them rotator. There's a lot of things we can do. And like I said, last year we assisted in 3 recoveries, you know, and I mean, they're very essential to you know, to safety and getting the road open and, you know, maybe saving a life. You know, and if we're having to waste 30 more minutes to get across town, get our record aired up, and then get onto the scene. I mean, there's been jobs before we even took the records to the house where we'd have to pass the scene up and then come back into the scene. You know what I mean? So it's just something that maybe might want to reconsider.
Okay, Mr. Pierce, public comments, we can't respond to you, but can we just take this under advisement and we will do our research on our side?
Yes, ma'am. Hope I did good, but it's all right. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, this is the Chief of Police. What I think he's looking for, if you can tell they have shirts that say B&B Record, obviously you can see where they work. Maybe some sort of exemption with regards to the city ordinance when it comes to the workers or commercial motor vehicle. Somewhere we could put in some sort of exemption for them where they can respond from their house. I think the one gentleman that probably got the warning, there had been complaints where he parks the truck that it blocks the vision of a stop sign. So if I were to guess, that's why code enforcement probably gives a warning at that moment. I'm sure we can work with them on maybe park it in a different place, you know, somehow on an exemption. I think that's what they're looking for. So I had told Mr. Pierce we'll do some of the research together and we can come back to the council with some sort of ordinance exemption that maybe help this situation. For all records, not just being vehicle, whatever record service.
We can research and address it, put something on for the next agenda that will be March 28th and have something ready for council and have the discussion.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Are there any other public comments?
Mayor, Council, Holly Draghi, Community Services Director, wanted to remind the public that we will begin construction of our splash pad. We're going to have visitors out there wondering what's going on. We are going to be beginning to start resurfacing the concrete of our splash pad. And then also we anticipate beginning, hopefully by the end of the month, some spray pad construction. We've already started some construction at our Zaragoza location. Public's out and about and they see things happening. It's us growing and adding these beautiful amenities.
Mayor and Council, Charles Leno, City Manager. I also wanted to notify Council that tomorrow we are having our quarterly employee appreciation luncheon. It will be at the community center. All of y'all are invited, but what that means is that we will have City Hall closed for a little over an hour. And we will have notices out and everything. It's not a cutoff date, so we should be good to go on that, and we will post the notices.
Well, I thought maybe you wanted us to come be at City Hall for you.
Well, I was, but I didn't want to get in trouble, so.
And that's it. This one?
At the community center at Mata Rodriguez
Okay.
Park, yes. From 11 to 1 is when it's going to be. It is when
I have one more thing I do. I'm excited to announce we have already started our terminal reconstruction at the airport. We anticipate 7 or 8 months. We'll be giving some updates later on. We're going to have pictures outside of just an empty room right now, but we're excited that we're finally moving forward with the terminal reconstruction and we're looking forward to a new facility that our visitors are going to actually get to see that are flying into our airport.
Any other public comments? We'll go on to item E, consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the February 27th, 2024 special city council meeting. Approve the minutes of the February 22nd, 2024 regular city council meeting. Review the expenditure report. Review the January 2024 and February 2024 airport fuel flowage reports.
Mine's still downloading, so I'm trying to remember what I had seen. I believe it's on the recap sheet, like number 5 and 6. Just wondering what exactly that was to those two people.
Those are easements for the new water line, for the pipe, for our water line that's gonna cross out there to the south. We're having to pay some easements and costs, to install our new pipeline that's gonna come into town. And so we're gonna have several of those were built into the.
Well, I've seen some others for a smaller amount.
There are.
Well,
Each
at least
one-
I thought that's what they
It
were.
depends on the length of the property that we're, or the amount that we're
Okay.
doing, and we also, are having, we've instructed the land person that Chad Tompkins has working on it to individually negotiate, and any easement that we're signing has a confidentiality clause in it, because there are some that are,
Less than others or more
less
than
than
others?
others. We are negotiating the best price that we can for our citizens.
And how much longer are we gonna be renting staying out at the landfill from? Not sure.
Probably 1 or 2 months, and then we should be done with that. That has gone significantly down because we turned 2 of the 3 pieces of equipment in.
Page 7, it's only $2,041, but it's to the Reeves County, where the description is, Reeves County property tax.
What that is we pay a quarterly amount to Reeves County to administer the tax collections, and that's what our quarterly allocation is. So that's 1/4 of the total that we pay for the year.
But they don't do it anymore.
Well, right now, even the tax office has the same thing. It's actually going to the CAT.
Okay. How's that teledoctor deal working?
Teledoc works real well. Our employees are using it relatively regularly to check in. I think it's from our claim standpoint with Blue Cross, it's significantly reduced claims, and I think it's a cheap alternative to run it to a clinic or to something.
Hopefully it keeps them here.
It does, yes, ma'am.
Again, I don't know what page it was on. Fredericksburg Royalty.
I remember seeing that.
I think it was 1,500, I think.
That's an easement.
That's an easement.
It's another easement, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it will.
Okay.
And we're gonna have a couple of others. There will be a couple that will be.
A lot of names we have.
We're never gonna see, and it's gonna be a one and done, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Seals, a second from Councilman Saldana to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Item F1, presentation of award of excellence for putting artificial intelligence to work in financial reporting as recognized by the Government Finance Officers Association. And Charles got this letter, and it says, congratulations again to you and your team at Town of Pecos City on receiving the 2023 Award of Excellence for Automation in Local Government Counties. The award recognizes innovative programs and contributions to the practice of government finance that exemplifies outstanding financial management and can serve as an example for many other governments in the United States and Canada. At GFOA, we rely heavily on achievements like yours as examples of our research training, conference sessions, and ongoing advocacy to best practices in public finance. We look forward to sharing your story in the future. And they've included, we've got copies of their magazine, and we've got an award to give them. And this goes to our finance department.
Where are they? On spring break.
Spring break. Yes, ma'am.
Let's weigh this.
So,
Go get
Mr.
an
Leno is
award on spring
gonna
break.
accept this on behalf of the finance department.
I am, and the only thing that I will add to it is, it was a collaborative effort. It's the one that, I've talked to you about, that I have to do 2 presentations on, at the GFOA National Conference in Orlando in June. This is one of 6 awards that GFOA puts out for all of North America. So, I mean, it's a pretty cool thing that we were able to get. So, this will be displayed up in the finance office.
Awesome, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do we get a bonus out of all this?
You got the magazine with with the story in it. We are featured.
Good God.
It should have been on the
Hey,
cover.
Charles, are you doing AI to do an audit?
No, it's not allowed yet.
Okay.
Let that trophy get cooled down before you start auditing it.
Yeah.
Just Christmas tree. Art.
Okay, item F2, discuss, consider resolution 24-03-04R, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a purchase agreement for one 2024 Ford Super Duty F-350 from Stanley Ford Sweetwater at the cost of $66,149.44. Jose Luis Delgado.
Okay, well, I'm stepping in. The
See,
family
I'm
is
right
on
there,
break
too.
as well.
Jose Luis.
Yes,
So they get away from the, is this on a budget?
yes, it is budgeted.
Just before we start
Yes,
discussing.
and this truck will be used for the employees that work out in our well fields.
In the what field?
In the wastewater, the well fields?
the well
Okay.
fields.
The well
Water
fields,
wells.
out in the water wells, yes.
And if you've ever driven out there, or you haven't, please one day get to the city, see if they can take you out there, and these trucks take a beat. It is rough out
Is
there.
that the one over there off of 450?
Yeah, the Twin Towers up 14.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't wanna drive out there. You gonna put a new truck out there?
Well, we are, and the reason that we're getting a 350 is because we are going to put a hoist on the back of it so that they can change out pumps and, you know, on our water wells.
Okay.
Hey, Art, is it as rough as the parking lot at Dollar General?
Worse. Because it continues on and on and on.
Smile.
Make a motion that we approve this. This is what we were waiting for. Resolution 24-03-04R to purchase said vehicle from Stanley Ford, presented by Ms. Nichols.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Arona, second from Councilman Saldana to approve resolution 24-03-04R as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Item F3, discuss, consider ordinance 24-03-01, an ordinance amending chapter 54, article 6, special events of the Town of Pecos City Code of Ordinance, first reading. Sarah Nichols.
Mayor and council, a couple of weeks ago I emailed you all a copy of this redlined. I did not put the redlined copy in the packet, I'm sorry about that. But this is basically, the events group that gets together to approve the event applications whenever they come in for special events, Easter extravaganza, Night in Pecos, stuff like that. We've always sat there and said, well, why does this work this way, or why do we do this? So we finally all got together, sat down, and went through the ordinance and kind of said, well, we've never done this, or these titles need to be updated because we don't have this type of position anymore. So that's basically what the changes would be. So if you want to go through, I believe on page 5, it shows you pages.
I know, I don't know what page it was, page 2 maybe. At the top, downtown special events, it does refer to Pecos Main Street, which, I don't know, I guess technically there is still a Main Street district.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anybody else knows about it. So I don't know if that's really still relevant, or if it somehow needs to be defined what it is. And then, of course, further down, it refers to the Pecos Main Street manager, which would is a position we no longer have.
We no longer
Right.
have.
We're mentioning the perimeter, under that.
Right.
Is that-
And truthfully, that's about as far as I got through this, but it's first reading, so I'll have time to peruse it
Yes.
more.
Also on section 54, 244. Number seven,
Section
west
what?
of the- Section 54, membership of events committee, west of the Pecos Museum, since we're gonna propose to hand that over to the museum. That be, should we strike that out?
To take out the West of the Pecos
Yes.
Museum Director?
Well, once we, oh, it's a director.
Yes.
Yeah.
It says director, and that's in reference to the Windmill Square rental.
Okay.
Okay, so you were talking about page 5, you did something?
Yes, that's where we updated, and that's where Art's talking about, Mr. Arona, that is talking about everyone that's, reads through the event applications once it comes in.
Oh.
So it starts off with Chief, and of course she's gonna ensure that there's heightened security in the area. Then we sent, Holly also reviews that, and she's the one in charge of advising streets if they have to have any road closures, so they can get that scheduled. And she'll give us feedback if, for safety reasons, if she feels we need added closures or if we need to move barricades in some way. We also have, it used to say Community Development Director. We do not have a Community Development Director anymore. So we changed that to Community Services to accommodate Holly's position. It said, the next one was Fire Department Chief. We no longer have a Fire Department Chief here with the city. So we changed that to Fire Marshal because usually Jack will review them as well. And then also we changed, it would say City Secretary, but on the application it had a signature for City Manager. So we just went ahead and updated that to City Manager or Designee. So if he isn't here and he advises me to sign off, I can. And then also we added West of the Pecos Museum Director in place of the Main Street Manager to manage Windmill Square.
So there's paperwork to be filled for any special event that we can have
Yes,
in the
sir.
street or,
Yes.
what if we were to have an event at the museum, what is that? Is that Windmill Square?
Yes.
The pavilion?
Yes.
Yes.
So we would have to fill out paperwork for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So there's criteria, and I believe you'll find that on page 4, and it tells you like it'll give you criteria, like if you have this going on in your event, you'll need to fill an application. So basically, if there's food vendors there, because they're going to be serving to the public, we'll need to send our code officers out there to inspect where they're going to be cooking. We need to put the road closures, ensure there's porta potties,
Yeah.
sufficient restrooms.
Okay.
So who do they come to first if they want Windmill Square? Is it going to be Dorinda at the museum to see if there's availability, or is it to be the City Hall first?
It will have to be Dorinda at the museum, because of the way that, the instructions that council's given us is that the museum is gonna manage, everything that's going on in Windmill Square, so we'll go with Dorinda first.
And then over to here for
Absolutely,
the
yes.
rest of the process?
And that's only gonna be if it's necessary, because if they're not putting up a stage, if they're just bringing a speaker to do something, it's not gonna be required. It's gonna be any time that they're gonna have any food vendors or safety issues that would come out, they're installing a stage, it has to be inspected. And this application.
Versus just having a birthday party?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Because typically people who have rented it in the past are for private events, so they don't need the public.
And this is just for downtown.
The event application? No, it's anywhere in town. So the Easter extravaganza.
So does the rodeo have to get a permit?
Yes. So that's something that we started recently. We would go back and forth because we would say, well, they're not closing any city streets, but we said, oh, well, they're getting food vendors. So we have started requiring. And Luba's been very good at the Civic Center. Anytime she has events going on, she'll let us know. I have a monster truck show coming up, or this is going to come, and she lets them know they need to come get their temporary food permits and all that stuff.
So it's just a communication flow?
Yes,
make sure
it's
everything's-
basically just us trying to revamp it and ensure we're getting it taken care of. And then another thing, and I did mention that in the email, So another thing we did add, I want to note this, on page 9, that's under section 54-248. Item number 9 requirement, this is something we added because in the past, proof of insurance coverage was only required if you were going to have BB guns, paintball guns, air guns, any type of artillery. But we changed that to where we want to require that for every event because there's been times where people are just at a basic market and they can, if say they trip, they say, well, I got hurt at your event. So just to have that coverage for the people putting on that event, we're asking them to provide insurance. And typically it's an organization putting on these events, so they have that coverage.
So where do they get the insurance?
Usually,
For a one-day event or whatever?
You can get that with any insurance agency. I know Pecos Insurance in town provides that as well. And like I said, a bunch of these places, these people doing events, they're an organization, so they already have that on file.
And your insurance carrier will give you, give you a rider on something like that, where you can just have to request it.
And then the last thing was on page 11, section 54-254. And this is just more ignorance on my part. Since I've started doing event applications, we have never brought one to council. And maybe if you all have been presented with that, maybe you guys can give us more knowledge on. So it states right here that the city council is to be presented all event applications to have final approval. So as a committee, we stated, well, we've never had to take it to council. Why would we need to take it to council? So we did notate to remove that section. But like I said, that's why we sent it to you all as well, to pick your brains if you'd like to keep
What's
that.
the number on it? What section?
It's not in
It's
here.
not in
It's
here.
not in
here.
It's been taken
Okay.
out.
I mean, all the people that you have listed that are in the committee, Holly, Jack,
And you can see,
they're, to me, that suffice as far as experts in the field of making a decision, instead of us having to.
and that was our
That's the
conversation,
section
that
that was
we've
taken out
already
to see its
taken all the
gifts.
precautions.
That's what I was.
But we wanted also
That's why I was verifying. what the
ask you
number
all
was.
as well, would y'all like to keep it, or why, or do you have
I
any
remember-
reasoning why you would?
I don't remember
do an
seeing any
application?
in my time.
The only time we've had one come is when the chamber was trying to change the parade route. I don't know if you guys remember that,
I
about
do
2 years
remember
ago,
that.
the parade route was
Oh,
going
yes,
to change.
yes, ma'am,
That's the only time that's come up.
yeah.
And so that's not to say that it never happens, it
And
could happen.
And we've had a lot of events before and after that,
Can you add
Or
in there somewhere and who approves it or who reviews it, that if necessary, it goes to council?
Yeah.
We could
Yeah.
do that,
Yeah.
yes.
As needed.
as needed, yeah. Like that parade
And
route
instructions,
questions.
yeah, because there's certain things that probably would warrant.
Because there were a lot of questions in reference to changing that parade route.
Yes,
Mhm, there were.
yeah.
So we
The
can definitely add
funeral
that.
possession doesn't need it.
No, sir.
Good rodent sorcerer, Randy.
Good what?
Good rodent sorcerer.
Good? Mayor, make a motion we approve F3 with whatever revisions or adjustments as needed. This is the first reading.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilwoman Seals to approve ordinance 24-03-01 first reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, F4, update on traffic striping on Eddy Street, Holly Jiraki.
Mayor, Council, Holly Jiraki, Community Services Director. Happy to announce that we have secured a contractor to stripe Eddy Street. I mean, we should.
Yay!
Yes, very excited.
Quality paint?
It's going to be Gorilla Paint. So I did request Gorilla Paint. Our parking lot was done with Gorilla Paint. This particular product has a standing, lasting time frame of about 3 to 5 years. Realize Eddy Street is busy. The fact that we don't have as many 18-wheelers on the street should help. They will be putting down 2 coats to bring us to a 3 to 4 year timeline of striping on our street. It is warranted. The company is out of Rome, Texas, which is just northwest of, just west of Dallas.
They're by Paris.
They anticipate mobilizing in April.
Good.
So
Just weeks away.
pending good weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I love the rain, but
Stay away right now.
yeah, yes.
How long will it take them to do it?
Oh, they are going to come in and prepare the road. They didn't give me a specific timeline, but they're quite serious about making sure that they get the product on the roadway correctly. They'll be sweeping it. They'll probably be here 3 days to 7 days, depending. They will also be adding the stop bars that are at the intersection of Eddy. There should have enough paint to do all of them. He anticipates being able to do at least 3/4 to all of them. It's really going to depend on how the material is absorbed into the street. That's one of the more difficult things to determine. But it will also have the reflective glass beads, so it should be a great help to the community to see which lane they're in.
Unblind us. We're not used to having anything
No.
hardly on there.
Come on now.
Might cut down on Harvey's business. Or need for him.
Help them a little bit, right? So yeah, we're
Stay
very
in our own
excited.
lane, right?
That's good, because you don't know how many calls. I'm pretty sure you get them as well.
We do. You know, we want to get a company. We've reached out to multiple companies. The contractor who was hired to do our reconstruction at the airport offered to provide some names, but in light of what's been going on, I hadn't received anything, and I was finally able to move forward. So I'm happy that we did finally get somebody that can provide what we want.
You just don't want this conversation anymore, do you?
You know, no, but you know, it just goes to show that we have to reach out quite often, and you know, if we we'll just leave it at that.
Thank you for your perseverance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Following through on it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Item F5, discuss,
Do we have
consider.
an approval?
No, it's just an
It's
update.
just an
Oh, it's
update.
Okay, I missed it.
Discuss, consider resolution 24-03-01R, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a purchase agreement with Z-Tech Construction LLC for replacement of roof, skylights, and front, upper, and lower windows at both 1301 and 1305 Iowa Street, to include interior areas at 1305 Iowa in the amount of $87,800. Holly Jiraki.
Mayor, Council, this is a budgeted item, and since we have been able to secure the townhome next door, we are now able to move forward and make repairs on the roof that have been long overdue. We did put this out for bid. We were able to get this particular project as a whole at almost 50% less with Z-Tech Construction. So it also allows us to make the necessary updates, code updates inside the townhome that had proven to be in need of repair. So we're able to do all of it. I'm happy to report. The skylights were included in this roof bid that we received, and I will follow it with the fact that we do have a claim, insurance claim, that we'll be able to bring those dollars back against, this total, which is just under $30,000 just for the roof. So it proves to be very cost effective for us overall.
How much was their insurance?
29,000 and some change.
Did you include the townhomes at 12, 15?
No, I did not.
Just these two.
But we did take care of all of those trees along that stretch, to help out, the high riding trucks out there. Apparently, we've got some large trucks driving through there.
Yeah.
One or two.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to ask me about the roof. I was all ready for the warranty and everything.
Well, now that you mention it.
Is that a metal roof or composition?
It's actually going to be a composite, and in talking with Z-Tech and our competitor, because we had these sheer winds, we were able to go with a very good product. It's actually it's an Owens Corning product. Sustains 130 mile an hour winds.
Wow.
Obviously, we have a local contractor who also stated, "Hey, Holly, look, if we get a few shingles to run off, we're going to come back up there and put them on." But he goes, "But these actually have a strip, a tacking strip on them, and they go, they're applied with 5 nails versus the standard 3." So it just proved to be such a better opportunity to go with the composite versus the metal.
What grade is it?
What grade? Good question. I can't answer that. It's supposed to be one of the higher grades. For some reason, I didn't make a note of that.
You're in
Darn it,
account.
Randy, I thought I was ready.
The one question you
You're an
didn't
accountant,
answer, he
right?
came
You're
up
not
with.
a carpenter, you're not a roofer, you're a CPA.
He did get that to me, but for some reason I neglected to put it here.
Roofing customers.
So was the skylights broken in the other account?
Yes. So we have a total of 5 skylights. 1301 skylights were broken as well, but they're not affecting anything drastically, so we were able to actually wait. And then the skylight was damaged by the other skylight was damaged by the hail, and one of them just doesn't shut correctly. And
So
all
we're
this
going-
time,
We're going back with them?
huh?
We're going back with them?
Yes. Yeah, but not, yes. But they're going to be properly repaired.
Is that in the atrium area?
Yes,
Yeah, it is,
it
yes,
is.
ma'am.
Yes.
I don't know, I would've thought remove them.
But then your atrium.
Well, so they have
Then
these.
your atrium is dark.
They have these
There's
atriums.
lights.
They have these, yeah. Well, yes. They have these atriums. It's the 1970s design, I guess, it was very popular. And yeah, it's natural light to the atrium for
For plant growing?
planting.
I don't have any plants in mind.
Slot
Yeah.
machine?
Well, they're actually a little mini multi-purpose room. Actually, they even have a faucet. Did y'all have any other questions?
I guess you need a motion, huh? I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 24-03-01R as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Seals, a second from Councilman Arona, to approve Resolution 24-03-01R as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm staying.
Abstaining, okay. Record show Councilman Graham is abstaining, that the motion passed. Item F6, discuss, consider resolution 24-03-02R, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement to participate in the 2024 Park Hill Group Seal Coat Program and approving the expenditure of road maintenance sales tax of up to $250,000 for the purpose of seal coat construction, providing for severability and the effective date. Holly Jiraki.
Mayor and council, this is also a budgeted item that we put into our budget. We try to put into our budget every year. This particular group seal program will affect 4th, 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and a portion of 12th Street. We are looking at 67,000 square yards of roadway. And again, this is one of the many preventive maintenance programs that we try to take advantage of. It came in at $3.39 a square yard, which is highly competitive. And it's the same company that had came in last year, Missouri Petroleum. So we're excited about that. We felt that they did a good job. We're still under warranty with the previous installation, and they will be looking at some of the loose rock that is on 11th, 10th, and 13th and 14th. We took care of 12th Street. And it also includes a contract for engineering services of $23,000, not to exceed $23,000. We do not have a start date yet. They've just won the bid, and so we will be positioned somewhere probably midsummer, hopefully a little sooner, but they could not verify the timeline on the when they come in and install. Once they come in and install, they're usually only here 2 days. They work very quickly. They have a large crew that comes in, and again, this is a preventive maintenance to keep our streets up and running and in good shape.
Is Park Hill the only one that bid on it?
So Park Hill's the company that provides this particular program. It's not something provided through other engineering firms. It's a separate program through Park Hill that they've had for over 20 years that we've had an opportunity to take advantage of for the past 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
We get lower prices, or what's the advantage of?
So this
program?
particular price at $339, the city can't, we can't even beat that. No, sir. We'll actually now, I mean, it used to be a little bit lower, but our cost would range closer to $8 or $9 a square yard.
Wow. So are they part of Park Hills Mississippi?
Some of their
subsidiary or-
yes. The engineering
Petroleum is not.
is not,
What they
no.
are is an independent contractor. Park Hill puts it out for bid and gets bids from companies throughout the country that do this type of product. And last year and this year, it just so happens that Missouri Petroleum was the lowest bid.
Yeah.
By a decent amount too.
Yeah.
And they screen the companies too.
Yes, sir. They have to follow, and they do this for multiple cities in the state of Texas. And so it has to follow state quality. Yes, sir.
It's quiet.
Timeline?
May I make a motion we approve F6 as present?
I just asked
Okay,
timeline.
sorry, I didn't hear.
Sorry.
I haven't had a committed timeline given
Okay.
yet, but we always state to them that we need to have it completed and billed by September 30th in order to meet our budget expectations on billing.
Go ahead.
All right. As I stated, F6 approved.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilman Saldana to approve Resolution 24-03-02R as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries.
Thank you.
On, by the way, Randy Houghton is approving the Park Hills Smith Cooper.
Not doing much of it, we got heat.
Item F7, discuss, consider entering into a permanent pipeline right-of-way agreement with Vaquero Permian Gathering LLC for proposed pipeline located in Section 5, Block C6, PSL Survey, abstract number state conveyed to Pecos, a municipal corporation in Volume 172, page 399, deed records, Reeves County, Texas. Parker Johnson.
I'm not Parker, but Charles Leno, City Manager. I'll step in for him. I have had a conversation. Parker can't be here tonight. He's traveling. That's all I know. And I'll say that much.
Spring break too?
No, he just started today. Yeah, he's getting ready to travel on a boat. So
Spring break.
There's priorities in life.
Yeah,
This is one.
And there's a couple of items to note related to this item. I'm going to ask, there's a printed agreement out in front of you. Parker was able to negotiate and turn this from a permanent pipeline right-of-way easement into a 10-year easement that has to renew if they're going to do anything with it. The initial line items that Parker had put in and determined from the compensation or the damages schedule related to this agreement ends up being two different pipelines that are going to be on there, both being 63.46 rods. And so in the initial agreement, it had a dollar amount in there that was going to be significantly less than what it actually is. The total compensation for this easement or this agreement will be $23,797.50. And that's for two different pipelines, one $88,884.40 and one for $14,913.10. And everything else on this agreement, Parker's negotiated it and he's good with it.
And both pipelines are 30 inch.
There's two different sizes. Let me tell you what they are, Randy. He texted me earlier and I have to look at it. He did not tell me what. There is a smaller line and a larger line. He did not tell me what size both of them are.
Parker was good with this.
Yes, sir. He's the one that redid this and modified it. This is his agreement that you're seeing here that he modified. And during number 2 is where you see that he modified it to state that it's for a term of 10 years. He removed a clause requiring removal of the pipeline upon the termination of the easement.
And the price was determined how?
By UT damages schedule.
Is that what we wanted to go by? Because I thought we'd already had a discussion about that.
We did, and it is not. I can have the conversation with them. Parker had it, and
The
he put it
UT
in.
schedule, I have a lot of ranch clients that use it. UT's been the longest landowner, and the biggest landowner, and they've been doing royalties for 100 years now. And they have helped save a lot of clients a lot of money by using them. And they're not going to shortchange themselves. They started, I guess, 1920 around Big Lake. And they said it's a very fair schedule.
And Parker was recommending that we follow it because that's what they'd asked for, but during our discussions, it's something that we need to really take a look at and see if we're going to use the UT schedule in certain aspects, but not all, because just on pipeline easements that we've done for some of the oil companies, it's been at a different rate than this. So it's something I can review and then
I'd
let you
kind of
know.
like to see
I
a
think
little
we need
more
to do
investigation
more,
on
yeah.
it.
Yes, ma'am. I can do
This can
that.
be a base, but it's a good base.
Oh, I think it is a good base, but I think there's, let's just say, room for improvement.
Yeah, there are, and I can have that conversation, and I'll have that conversation with the gentleman tomorrow, if not Monday.
I'll make a motion to postpone, bring item F7 back after negotiations.
I'll second.
Yeah, I have a motion from council, let the record show Councilman Arona had to step out. Let the record show Councilwoman Seals, wants to table this item until we negotiate damage prices. Second by Councilman Saldana. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that motion carries. Item F8, discuss, consider resolution 24-03-03R, a resolution amending resolution 18-12-04R, a resolution adopting bylaws for the tax increment reinvestment zone, number 1 board. Charles Leno.
Mayor and Council, Charles Leno, City Manager. This is one that we met with the TERS Board, and they met twice. The first one was to discuss amending it, and then the second one was to finalize making all of these changes that they felt were prudent in order to allow them to handle the job that they're going to do related to this. There was some discussion also about whether or not the TERS Board or the TERS 1 and TERS 2 that were adopted by ordinance were actually viable. We, in discussions with the appraisal district, we were told that they are not. We got word today that maybe they are from the state, but I don't know that for sure. I haven't been able to verify that. Ken Winkles and I had the discussion, and we feel that probably they cease to exist from the state standpoint. And part of the discussion that we were having during the TERS meeting is we think it may be prudent for the TERS Board to be designated as a TERS Board, not TERS Board for TERS 1, TERS 2, TERS 3, however many the city decides to create. And so there's going to be some changes on that, but the bylaws, I think, with the changes that are here, would allow them to continue operating until we determine which direction that we're going to go. So my recommendation is to take a look at the red line version, and I did not see any issues with it, and I think my recommendation to council would be to approve it so that we can move forward and figure out what direction we are going.
Chairman of the TERS Board,
Yes, Ms.
I'm sure you looked over everything, did all the corrections that you can tell got made?
Yes, I went over all of them when Wendy emailed me out Monday, and everything that we discussed, those changes have been made.
Did you all remember in the meeting, we're talking about the seats, how they were gonna be numbered? Did y'all do that? I had to leave before you.
What we did was we pulled numbers for the serving of the years.
Okay, right, for the 2 and 3.
Some were 2 years, some were 3 years.
Okay.
So yes.
So that was taken care of?
Yes, the seat actually was not appointed the position, but the number of years were at that meeting under the last item after you left.
Okay.
I'll make a motion we approve this resolution.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilman Graham, a second from Councilman Arona to approve resolution 24-03-03R as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Item F9, discuss, consider to accept or decline the 2024 Consumer Price Index adjustment to municipal telecommunications ROW across line rates. Charles Leno.
Mayor and Council, Charles Leno, City Manager. The Public Utility Commission mailed this out on February 28th, and we have two options. We can accept this inflationary right-of-way access line amount, or we can decline it, which would mean that we maintain our current rates. This relates to telecommunications right-of-ways. Looking at it, I mean, it makes our life easier, and we'll have to bring back to you all to amend our fee schedule, but I make a recommendation that we accept the CPI rate index for telecommunication right-of-way access line rates.
Usually on roads, we deny them.
Yeah.
So, I'm surprised you're saying
Telecommunications is something that we don't have a whole lot on, and we have not modified rates in a long time. And that's why I'm making that comment on that, because we have not modified the fee structure on telecommunication right of ways for as long as I've been here. But it is up to council.
Make a motion to accept this resolution. It's not a resolution.
Accept the increase.
CPI increase.
Yep, CPI increase.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Graham, a second from Councilman Saldana to accept the increase as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Item F10, discuss, consider entering into an agreement with Tommy Gonzalez for staff training, Charles Leno.
Mayor and council, this is a returning item that you all asked me some questions that I could not ask, that I do have answers for now. One of the questions were what type of services would it be that we were going to bring back, and most of it, I mean, in the contract that we had there, it was assessment and analysis, strategic planning, process improvement, and performance management with KPIs. And the response that I received back from Mr. Gonzalez is, when I asked what is the appropriate time allocation per month, he says, typically I do it with the objectives laid out in the contract agreement I sent you, so there's more of it's kind of a retainer format, but what that means from his standpoint, it is typically when he's bringing these programs to us, it's going to be 15 to 20 hours in a week that he will come and do that program.
Per week?
In a week.
In a week.
In a week.
Not per week.
Yeah.
Not
It
every
depends
week.
if we have two, if we have two in a month,
Okay.
then it would be that. And the one thing that he said is he does have the bandwidth to do it, and it's built into his contract where he can do that. So I guess he has enough field generals to where it gives him some access, because I can tell you there's no way I could do that.
So we'd still have to pay the monthly fee every month?
Yeah, if it would be, and it's a month it's a 12-month, but it's a month-to-month that we can cancel. And the only way that I see this as being viable is if we set something up every month to do, and had some type of a training
Yeah, we
each
don't
month.
want to pay him if he's
We don't wanna
not
pay for
coming,
it.
if he's not
coming,
doing
yeah.
anything, yeah.
So that's what I have an issue about.
Yes, ma'am.
We hate to pay for something we're not receiving.
I don't disagree with you. And I can have additional
And I can see a lot of
conversations.
things coming up that would make it where
We could.
we couldn't do it. I mean, with staff not being, the needed staff is not available at that time. And, like right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But,
And what I can do is I can have the conversation and talk to them and say, can we agree to a rate for the months that we do use it,
Yeah.
or something like that.
When he comes in,
Or the number
which
of
staff,
hours.
which staff is he going?
We're going to have
to get to everybody at one time.
Well, I think we have to look and see exactly what the topic is that we will bring in, because my objective is there's some of it that our senior level staff already get through other avenues. There's some of it that they definitely need, but I think we have to push it all the way down to our line supervisors, because that's where I think we're going to see the best benefit from.
And I think we even talked about utilizing him for TERS training.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So there's things that would qualify from that standpoint that I think it could bring in, and it's also something that on certain of the trainings, I think it would be beneficial if we could do it to where we could get one or two council members there too, because I think there's some of that you all would, I mean, you all showed an interest when we were doing our workshop for our retreat that we did. And so there's some of those plans and programs that I think you all would be interested in, time permitting. I haven't talked to him about, well, okay, is this when you say 10 to 15 hours a week, is that like 2 afternoons? Is it 3 days? Is it 2 full days? I don't know what that entails yet. And so I mean, he and I have been communicating just strictly via text. So he thinks he could be a benefit to us, and I understand that there's a compensation piece of it, but I think we have to get a value for all of our staff, not for 6 or 7 staff. And
So he would come here in person or just?
in person.
In person?
Yeah.
So he would probably want to do it 2 or 3 afternoons or mornings, whatever.
Yeah.
Or even day long to get it, so he's not
all the time.
traveling.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
an afternoon and a morning or whatever.
Something like that. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have some goals, Charles, that you'd like to reach by using this guy? Tommy?
Well, I think there's a lot of programs that we could. I had a lot of city staff reach out, and I haven't had the discussion with Tommy yet on it, but several of the staff are already looking at, because they thought some of his Lean Six Sigma conversations were very intriguing to them, and several of them have looked into doing it online to where you can become a white belt online. Yellow belt takes in-person training with a green belt or a black belt teaching you. Tommy is a black belt. And so it means that we would probably have to develop someone internally to become a green belt, because a green belt could do projects and train yellow belts that way. So it is a program. That's the one that most of the staff have really talked about getting done, but they've also talked about some of the measurements and setting KPIs to where we can measure ourselves and find different ways to measure. Was one of the things that you talked about, Randy, is how do you measure some of these things. I think that's where we get the guidance on. From our standpoint, he says he has the bandwidth to do it. I don't have the bandwidth to do it. So it is something that we would have to rely on somebody else to do it. It's not cheap. It's really not. I mean, I know it's
money in the
expensive.
long run, because I like the team building deal, setting up teams to do certain areas and stuff. It's more efficient.
And I would see this as being like, if he did come and did a training like that related to cross-functional teams, that it would be a one and done. That it would be, and then we collectively, internally, are responsible for perpetuating it and making it go on. So it can't be, well, we need him to come and train the next group to learn how to do a cross-functional team. No, this is how it needs to happen.
This is
Yeah,
kind
with
of
something like
train
that.
the trainers.
Train the trainer kind of a
Yeah.
deal. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, with something like that, you would need your first line supervisor to be involved in that, so
You
that
would.
they can push it on.
You would, and I can tell you that the Lean Six Sigma projects that I've been involved in, I'm a yellow belt because of the city of El Paso. I never had to do a green belt project, but I had to be on more teams than I really liked, because it is time consuming to do that, but it's also a growth opportunity. And you do have people on the team that are from the public all the way down to the frontline workers, as well as supervisors, where you have a good grouping of everybody on some of these projects that you have to do. The thing that's difficult about a green belt is the green belt, if you're going to do a green belt project, it can't be in your area of expertise. It has to be out of your wheelhouse, so that you have to be doing something and you have to put the effort forth. Like if I had to do a green belt, it's not going to be
In
financial
finance.
statements and finances, because
You'd be digging ditches, right?
yeah, absolutely. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. Absolutely, yes, sir.
We're working out the landfill.
And it is more cost effective to bring one person here versus sending all of our people off.
It is. It is. But I mean, I can explore whatever you all want me to on this. The question we had last time is what is the time commitment on it, and he's told me 15 to 20 hours in a week. I guess it depends on how many tasks we do. I mean, at 20 hours, it's still
That's
not
a
a
lot.
cheap way to do it, but
That's a lot of time if it's every single month to
Yeah.
pull a lot of your people out and to have enough of them show up every time to be beneficial.
well, in order for it to be beneficial, it would not be a requested training. It would be a mandatory training, and we'd have to work with it to where we rotated staff, and each month it would be a different group that would be learning a different technique or something like that. It's the only way I can see it being feasible to do that.
And you know, with the way, like in the oil field, with the way the things are changing, now you have to have that training to be because now you have to be certified, qualified, you have to be everything. So even the work is put aside to do this training, because now your regulatory companies, your safety department, your HR companies, departments are actually running the oil field, because they have to meet criteria of what the government pushing out to us. And the city, the way it looks, the city is going in that direction anyway, because of the protocol that they're trying to throw out.
Well, and I think from the standpoint that, I mean, I think I voiced to you all and you all have voiced to me that our overall goal is to grow as many positions as we can from within. And I think the only way that we can do that is by giving them a level of training that is going to allow them to grow. I mean, I can tell you that all of the staff that were at the retreat voiced to me that it was very uplifting, energizing to do that. And I think council, for the most part, felt that way too. I mean, a couple of questions, but I don't know, it's hard, again, one of the things that we talked about, it's hard to measure. What value are we going to get for that amount each month? Is it worth $10,000 a month? Or are we going to see, is it worth $5,000 a month? And I don't know, honestly, unless we tried it. But it's going to be difficult to put a price tag on it. We're going to have to see the development of staff. My communication with our supervisory level, our supervisors when we've had managers meeting, is they're going to have designate staff that are going to be available for some of these trainings and make them be there, not ask them to be there. There's a lot of guys that are in the field that's their comfort zone and they don't want to step out, but they don't want to step out because they've never experienced stepping out. Yeah, absolutely. So I think it has to be pushed down. It's not strictly for the senior level staff. It can't be, because if it is, it's a waste of money.
And the other thing is, how do you measure, how do you scale a person's out in the field that you may not see him after the training? That's how he's adapting, how he's implementing what he learned.
Absolutely.
You know, it's going to be the hard
Yeah,
measure.
and without staff knowing it, there's some techniques that I've learned that just we implement. I just don't put a name tag on some of the processes that we tried to look at. I mean, the AI one is a prime example. It is a great Six Sigma process, because we're changing. All that's about is changing the process, and so we changed it from a manual process into a automated process, and it comes with some benefits, because the machine or the robot, the bot, doesn't make mistakes. It doesn't make keying errors. It doesn't have to rest. It doesn't have to do any of that, and it's saving us hours. I mean, trying to put a dollar on it is tough, but I can tell you that it saved us probably 400 hours a year in reconciliation side. That's a lot if you try to quantify it by the staff that were there. So we are already doing some of the items that were talked about at the retreat. It's just that we're not labeling that, and nobody has the formal training. Most of the staff don't have any formal training related to utilizing some of those techniques.
Can you give us kind of, say, the first 3 months, what would he be doing the first month, and how would he structure the second month and the third? Can you give him an idea of how he's going to approach this? And
sure.
Of course, you'd be getting with him and kind of laying out what we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do. And I've had the staff, I mean, Jesus has been one, Cyrus has been one, Heather's been one, talking about certain things that they would like to bring in, because they're definitely interested with Cyrus, Heather, and Jesus doing their CPM class. They've learned just the tip of the iceberg on some of the stuff that he was talking about. So there's some, I think, excitement from that standpoint, but it has to be pushed down. I mean, it's something that I'd like to see, like a similar retreat, but with the next level or the next 2 levels of supervisors and managers, to try to get them excited too, because it takes a buy-in. There's no doubt about it. If you don't get the employees buy-in and it's not something that is engaging, they don't want to do it. There's a lot of them that are scared. Are you going to put a test on, or are you going to have a test at the end? No. but how are you gonna measure whether were successful or not? Maybe put them on a team, on a cross-functional team, and have them work on a process that is there.
I'd like to see it for the employees.
Okay.
Make a motion to bring it back.
I can do that, yes ma'am. I'll have the conversation with you.
Is that
I'll
your
get like a
motion?
first quarter program is what I will do.
Is that your motion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To bring it back, there's an agreement, timing, to
Get more
additional-
details, yeah. She needs a second.
Second,
You did it. Graham?
it's Randy.
We have a motion from Councilman Sills, a second from Councilman Graham to table this until we get some more information. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that motion carries. Item F11, discuss, consider financial support for Keep Pecos Beautiful Board projects, Vanetta Seals.
You know, Keep Pecos Beautiful Board met on Tuesday, and immediately following was kind of a workshop meeting, and several of us were there, except for Randy Graham. But I think our concern with the board is, you know, we formed this board and we said, go out and make Pecos beautiful, but expend all your own time and energy and didn't give them any startup money. They've had to raise their own money to try and do a project. And right now, all the money that they have raised has gone towards the beautiful Veterans Mural over here, which is certainly a great project. But I think there's been a lot of turnover on that board because they haven't had a lot of real direction, and at this point they're very discouraged because they're struggling to try and do a project because they have no funding. And so I think Councilman Arona was the one that said he appreciated all those that had stayed on the board this long. And the newest board member, she was ready to kind of run out the door, and she said, you know, she's had a lot of experience on writing strategic planning, and she said, but I've never done one that wasn't going to be having some funding for it. And so I think that we just really need to give them some type of base funding, either annually or dependent on any fundraising they do, if they get sponsorships that they can put back into the next project. But right now, they're struggling to have anything to do anything with.
Well, in fact, right now, they're even short of paying for the whole mural project.
I thought though, we had talked about one night, they could use that hot tax money for the mural.
Recommended. They haven't come back though. It is, that has been a discussion, and it hasn't been presented to the hot tax board yet. And I think that's where Councilwoman Seals is talking, that the direction just, I honestly feel like between Vanetta and I, we were fairly harsh on the board talking about stuff and saying you gotta, and coming up with different ideas. And sometimes, I think it's just a logical solution to get more sponsors and get more money, hadn't been thought of. And that's where the direction that Vanessa was alluding to comes into play. And I don't know if it's because they're frustrated or they just don't know
The
how to do
turnover
it.
on their board,
Or-
not a lot of continuity going on there.
Yeah, or if they've gone to a few people and asked for donations and the answer was no, so they just kind of
They quit.
They quit
Yeah.
instead of just keep asking.
Yeah.
And we have to remember, except for one, all of them have full-time jobs too.
Mhm.
And, there was a time back in history that a lot of people, they retired, I'm gonna say at a decent age, where they still had time and energy to go and do these projects. And now, all of us are working up into our senior years.
Yes,
And,
we're beyond.
There's not that many volunteers out there like there was once.
Yeah.
And so I think this is where they're struggling too. And, you know, anything within the city, it gets done, or when it gets done, depends on if there's funding. And so I think this is where this board's struggling, and, you know, their concept is awesome, something that we certainly need for Pecos to beautify our community, to help attract businesses into our community and other people just to want to live here. But I just think that they need a little direction and maybe a little startup money to do some beautification projects.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
And I thought the meeting was something that we should have done a long time ago. Because there was some excitement once the discussion started during the workshop, especially when the lady, the new lady was given the kind of direction, like she knew what she was talking about. So, and with that, I'm in agreement that we need to kind of help them out, and I think you asked them about a budget. Now, if we saw a budget, it would be great because it would kind of give them a baseline of 2 or 3 projects instead of 15 projects at one time. I mean, it's hard to do.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I gave them the deadlines that I would need something by June.
Good.
For our next fiscal year, in order to present it to council on that. But I mean, it's something that we can entertain and get council's directive from it, or direction on it as to how you all want to go about it, because it's going to have to be funded out of taxpayer dollars and or hotel occupancy tax, depending upon what
Was there a
project.
reason why I'll rephrase this, the reason why they hadn't gone to the hot tax committee?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, I know from being at hot tax meetings, Amber's always pushing, how is this getting heads and beds? That's her big deal. And she doesn't look at the art project of that hot tax.
I've had the conversations, but I agree with you there.
Yeah, and she keeps saying that's not gonna get heads and beds.
Yeah.
So she's not, so hot tax can't fund it.
And that is certainly one of the 6 or 7 objectives
It is.
for approval for hot funding. But it's also if it falls into the historical renovation or the arts. And so there are different avenues that a project does qualify. And, you know, just like in any organization, it takes people having different talents. And I don't know that they've had all the talent on the board that they've needed.
To get
I
that.
think the newest board member, she has lots of years of writing strategic plans, so she can help with that. You know, another member is very creative. She brings that forward. She's the one that's usually kind of designing some things for them. I don't know that any of them, with exception maybe that newest board member, has really ever written a grant that was involved more than a fill in the blank one page. So, you know, when you say, well, you need to write grants, well, that's not their area of expertise. And when they're working full time, when are they going to do it? And so, I mean, they've had some obstacles. And then with the turnover on the board, it's just been very difficult for them.
It is.
You know, it's, what we need to do, or what they need to do is, okay, what event are you doing? Does it fit the hot tax mode, or do you need to come to the city for money? You know, or, you know, it's gonna have to be that, however the outline is of projects or events they wanna do, does it fit one mode or the other, you know? Like Renetta said, the arts, music, it's all hot tax money. The Pecosville, the one that,
Advertisement, you go to
Yeah.
advertisement on.
Chuck,
Yeah.
but if that was paid by hot tax,
Yes.
why couldn't this be?
And
It should fit the.
I was talking to Paul Novos the other night, and he said the number one tourist attraction besides the rodeo is the booths. And so that, you know, why, you know, Christy, you might go to, you know, look at that as far as finding those booths. And, because it brings a lot of people in, they do those tours.
But that's what a business buys for their business.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really qualify.
Or maintenance.
for the- I don't know if there's any maintenance.
Well, they were talking about maintenance the other night.
Yeah, you should see ours at Texas, New Mexico. They put it in the wrong place. So the salt water, when we water the grass, is eating it up.
Oh, okay.
It is real faded now, but, I don't know, I think maybe we need to have another workshop where, I hate to say it not this way, but, you know, where the hot tax committee's there, we're there, and they're there. That way we can all
Well, I think at this
understand
point
it.
to maybe postpone this until they can have another meeting, and maybe it is a
Or-
joint kind
or
of meeting
give us-
to
give
get that
us-
budget.
Yeah.
Or give us an amount that they need to finish all the mural
The
part of
mural
it.
or
Yeah,
something.
because they've still gotta pay for plaques and the ceremony
paint
and all
and-
that.
I'm not sure I wanna give money for the mural when they can go to the hot tax and get it.
Right.
Well, it's twofold, because they're also looking for sponsors, and that's what.
I think we've gotta do that too.
Yeah, Vanetta and I had the conversation with them, because right now their sponsorship levels are 1,000 to 3,000, 3,000 to 5, and greater than 5.
Six.
It's high.
Six.
Six.
It's
Six.
high.
Yeah.
And what we had talked about is saying, you know what, if you put a sponsorship level to get a name on a plaque, or just to get recognition in the paper for $250 or $500, there's a lot of businesses in town that can afford that,
I
or
asked-
individuals.
I asked, I said, why are you only wanting 4 sponsors?
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, I think if you got projects in line with the budget, like you're talking about, somebody would look at that, yeah, I wanna sponsor this.
Right,
You know.
and that's what we
Yeah.
talked about, like, as, you know, the trees downtown, unfortunately, kind of need to go off those sidewalks. And, you know, if the city cuts one down and we get a certain planter that Holly may have some good suggestions on, you know, to put out there and get the flowers planted in it, then maybe the next business will say, hey,
I wanna buy
hey,
one of those.
get rid of my tree, I want one of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if you cut a tree down and leave some of it and put a tabletop on it, or something like that. I think people just have to see what the product actually is before they want one of them.
Absolutely.
And I think it's the same way like with the boot project. If, you know, more and more people are wanting one of them now.
And if they put lights across the street, you know, that's nothing that the business can, but that would be a project that a sponsor could come in and say, I want be part of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that they've just, the board as a whole has gotten frustrated,
Very
because they were trying to do, they were gung ho at the very beginning, but they had 50 projects they wanted to do.
And no money.
And no money.
And no money.
And that was
Yeah.
what my Ms. Castillo, my sister-in-law, said. You know, we were all gung ho, like you said, but then it finally dawned on them that, but we gotta raise the money.
Yeah.
We gotta do the work and raise the money, and that's what really discouraged them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have a full-time job and other commitments, when are you gonna do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. It's not, I mean, you're gonna run out of time. You really are.
But like we said, I think maybe table it and have another meeting
And
with
then see
them.
what a budget might be
Yeah.
Yes,
from
ma'am.
them.
Yes, ma'am.
Before we come up with either they, you know, on this project goes to HOD, whether we help fund it or whatever,
Yeah.
or, you know, we'll
And get-
fund it up to this point if you can get enough matching sponsorships or whatever for different projects.
And get them to read the two-step process of using the hot tax money. It's not just, like y'all said, heads and beds. There's other criteria that meets it.
There, I'll have this meeting after April 15th.
Oh, we might.
Is that your motion?
Just a month.
Just to take-
Well, you mean
Yes,
after
ma'am.
April 15th, you'll attend the meeting?
Yeah,
Promise?
promise.
I'll go get you.
I promise.
I'm ready and I'll go get you, you know
I'm
that.
on recording, aren't I?
Okay. I have a motion.
Did I make that motion?
Yeah.
Mr. Arona.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilwoman Seals to table this item till we get a budget or some questions asked. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that motion carries. Item F12, update on number of permitted HOVs and compliance. Arthur Arona.
It's, you know, we did this last year with some reluctance from the chief and some of the council members of the added work that we were gonna put on them. And it's been a little concerning for me, because I've seen more of the illegal ones, underage drivers, out and about. I know Councilman Graham has brought concerns about it in his neighborhood. I'm pretty sure Mr. Wakefield has probably seen them in their area as well. And it's, you know, we left it out in that ordinance. You know, I just want to get some more information from the chief, and I think you answered that for me, Celino, on citations issued. How many have we had come in and register?
Yeah, and I have that information here. We've had actually 19 permits issued since it was passed. 4 of those have expired, so there's 15 current permits that are out there. There have been no citations issued since the passing of the ordinance related to those vehicles.
And like I said, you know, if I was to call the chief or the PD, by the time they show up, no fault of theirs, because they have to go travel from wherever they're going to the site, those are gone.
Yeah.
You know, and so my concern, the other concern I have is, I've seen a lot of teenagers, a lot of underage drivers. Something happens, they're gonna blame us, the city. Well, you allowed it, well, no, we allowed a particular HOV, like when they're just probably passing one now. But, you know, we still have litigation in our hands if that happens. So, I'm not saying right now to rescind the ordinance or make a motion to rescind the ordinance, because I know it's gotta go through its processes. But I think we need to,
Are you talking about the regular size ones, or are you talking about the small ones?
I'm talking, right now at the point, Councilman Graham, I'm at the point of saying rescind it all, because the ones that are legal, that we did write the ordinance for, are very small percentage of them that I see out there. I see
Yeah.
more of the illegal ones.
And if we're gonna do that, we're gonna have to put it on the next one because it's an update only, so it's something that we
Yeah,
can't
right.
put for
That's what I mean. That's
our
what
next
I'm
council, our
discussing
next
it right
meeting
now.
and stuff, yes.
I mean, y'all, let me know what y'all think, if y'all in agreement, fine, if not, you know, but.
Well, I'm the same way with Councilman Rona, because I've seen the illegal ones more than I've seen those big razors, and those are nice deals. But you know, we did this with stipulation that we would look at it again, you know, 4 or 5 months down the line and see where we were at. Citations, are they getting their stickers that supposed to be there? License plate, because when I see one, the first thing I'm looking for is a license plate. See if they got a license plate.
Just because they have a license plate doesn't mean they're registered.
They're allowed, yeah.
And if they're registered, then I'm fine. But like Sunday, I saw a smaller one down Eddy Street. Like I'm looking, and it looked like a racer, but it wasn't. It was a smaller version. And I said, "Wow!" But and the same thing, it's kids driving. And if it's a 10-year-old, he ain't got no license. Then, then we did ask the group, police yourself, because I mean our police officers, I mean we're limited with what we can do, and if we have to take this back out of the ordinance and kill it, we'll have to do that before we have a major situation out there.
Well, and it's very hard for the PD to issue citations because, you know, they zip from this end of the street to the other, and by the time the police show up, they're just driving down the road like they haven't done anything.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that there's not violations going on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And again, it's like the smaller that vehicle is, the younger the driver, it seems like, in a lot of cases.
You know, and I haven't seen them speeding or anything.
Oh, I have.
But the little ones I have.
Over on Plum Street, they're.
I haven't seen the big
Oh, no.
wheel.
Not the ones we approved or we wanted to see, and we made the order. I've never seen them going more than 30 miles an hour, but the
smaller
smaller ones there.
And those are illegal anyway.
They are.
So
Well, that's what I think we need to focus on, the smaller ones, and the noise too. You know, they come by and they're 100 yards away from my house, but it sounds like they're in my backyard. You know, they're so loud. You know.
And those are normally going to be the smaller ones that are not legal on the street
But
anyway.
You know, I noticed when we passed the ordinance, and that was my concern in the back of my mind, was that it's all gonna come out. Not just what we had approved the ordinance for, and I hate to say it, and I hate to admit that I was wrong, that,
How were you wrong?
because more, the illegal ones came out. They were already out, but they're multiplying now more.
Well, and with the time change and with it coming on the summer, they're gonna be out even more.
So, that's what I just wanted to bring up, and have you all think about it and see which direction we go.
Chief? So there have been citations issued for the four-wheelers, both to parents and to children, and then the four-wheelers have been impounded. They're the illegal ones, they're not allowed on city roadways anyways. We've talked to different property owners who don't allow them on their property, but they go there anyways. Currently I'm waiting for Union Pacific to see if they're gonna file them, because there's a misunderstanding that if they're on the sides of the railroad tracks, that it's property that they can ride on. With 50 feet on both sides of the railroad tracks, that belongs to Union Pacific. You know, foul on people, even just for walking in that area and having criminally trespassed. And we get more out of parents helping us with their kids, you know, but at the same time, we do see a lot of these four-wheelers. Randy gets a whole bunch of them where he's at, and it's just, it's an open area there, and they just take off through it.
They love to spin out my used asphalt,
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
and we're always having to repair it.
yes. There's been one of the HOVs that was cited by the sheriff's department, and it wasn't with an adult driver. I'll just put that out there. And so that's the only one of the HOVs that I know that was issued a citation.
You know, it's tough because I have a neighbor that pulls out with what looks like a John Deere forerunner, and I'm like,
And if you look at the description of what we put in there for HOVs, it fits that description. It does. It's almost like a little farm type,
yep.
but it fits under that description.
But it doesn't have a license, it doesn't have a registration.
Then he's illegal.
Then it's
Yeah,
illegal, yes.
exactly. So, but that's, and like Councilman Sabaji said, we talked about it, we said, you know, we'll come back in a few months and review it and see where it's going and how it's been, and I'll be the first to admit, you know, I was wrong. You know, it's not going the way we intended to be. People are taking advantage of it, and
Now, are you talking about, clarify that, people are taking advantage of it? The small ones or the big ones?
the small ones.
Okay.
You know, it doubled. It's Randy, to be honest with you, to me, the amounts I've seen, it's doubled. From
Yeah,
what
I
I
would love
used
to
to see
see the
before we
small
were.
ones off the roads. Yeah.
Sir?
I would love to see the small ones off the roads, but the larger ones, I can't see the need for taking them out.
To me, it seemed that as soon as we legalized the big ones, everybody came out, regardless of the size.
Well, they were already out though. The
But
small
they're
ones.
more, I've seen more than the norm.
So you're saying that's
Maybe it's a
the fault
public,
of the big ones?
a public awareness thing. That just because we have an HOV ordinance does not mean all
Terrain.
terrain
ATVs.
vehicles are covered.
Because we did say windshields, 3-point restraint system, signal lights, muffler suppressors, inspection by the police department, tag, come and pay your permit and renew your permit every year. And those are the criteria that we put forward. Well, these other ones that I see are violating every single
One of them,
you know.
yeah.
And I think like Mr. Graham says, they were already violating it, and maybe this maybe did add a little more where they think it's
Yeah.
okay. Again, maybe like Ms. Nichols says, it's a public awareness thing.
And that's what,
HOVs and ATVs are very
They're not the
Yeah.
same thing.
different type of vehicle.
but will it stop it? People choose to ignore it, but they choose to ignore it.
And for us to continue to get in any type of pursuit with the ATVs is more deadly than it is beneficial to what you're trying to do.
So how were the parents about those that were cited?
So a lot of them do understand that their vehicles are only allowed, say, on private property or out in the pasture. I know that there's an area in Lindsay Addition where they've allowed these kids to ride, and they assume that they're there, but we get calls of them being here in town, and then there's some areas that are just north of town, like in the County Road 400s, that they're back there, that they've recently been stopped by a loving deputy who owns the property back there, that he didn't allow access on. So of course the parents are called, the parents are out there dealing with the situation, and sometimes you get a little bit more parental discipline that helps more than a fine, so that kind of was allowed to take place, and if it continues, then we move on. Because at a point where they're evading the police, it becomes evading arrest, which becomes a felony, which puts these juveniles into a juvenile system that maybe we could have figured out some other way.
So if they're riding out Lindsay Edition, do they all have trailers to get their ATVs out there? Or do they just ride them out there and then ride them back into town?
I couldn't tell you how they all get out there, whether they trailer them there and they're supposed to stay there, and next thing you know, they're,
All over
Second
town.
Street is like a really popular place for them, from what I'm understanding. North Alamo, North Hackberry, those are also very popular, that we had officers in those areas, just We can hear them coming.
Is Valencia addition in the ETJ area? They are?
It is, you
Well, that-
know, and one street of it is, especially, it's one side of the street's the city, the other side's the county, so it becomes like a drawing the lines little area. Not that we want Green Acres at all, so it's just, that's a whole other set of stuff. But, I don't know if there's future discussions of maybe find an area of land that can be created into some sort of place where they can go ride.
The new West Pecos.
There you go. I think they're uncomfortable.
I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention as to and my concerns. And the way it's been going, it's not going the way I wanted it to go. Was the intent that I had with passing this ordinance and getting this ordinance under books.
With the HOVs, the bigger ones, I can't say we've had complaints on this at all. You know, I'm like you, just have to get used to seeing them driving next to a car and just hope that everything goes okay. But as far as them being on the roadways where they're not supposed to be, we don't get those complaints. Speed, we don't get those complaints. And even to have children in them, we haven't got any of those complaints. We kind of set that straight from the beginning when we were going through the inspection process. There were a few that were pretty excited to pick up kids at school, and we explained, you can't put children in these vehicles.
Thank you.
Okay, F13, update on tech stock project along 3rd Street.
Again, I'll hand it to you.
Yes, sir. The information that we've got from TxDOT is TxDOT has awarded the project to an AL Hellcamp Inc. as a low bidder. It was awarded on March 6th of this year, just a week ago, approximately. Now that they've awarded it, there's about a 90-day lead time for the contractor to get materials and plan to mobilize personnel in the area. TxDOT does not have a definitive timeline with the contractor yet, but they are anticipating that the job will begin in early summer and continue through the first part of 2025 before it's complete. So we should start seeing a lot of activity in the next 3 to 4 months and continue through the rest of the year. It is. It is.
Well, my concern is that, and we can't help it's going to be done, is 18 movers.
Yeah.
When I go in east or west, we're going to have to route it through 2nd Street.
Yeah.
Or wherever they designate it to go to.
Yeah. Well, and I have a feeling they still may be able to use 3rd. I imagine if I'm TxDOT, they're going to do one lane at a time and have the center lane being not a turn lane anymore. It's going to be a designated either east or westbound lane. And so I anticipate that that's the way they'll do it. But TxDOT does things TxDOT's way. So.
Yeah. They'll be hitting a lot of street light poles.
Yes.
I think
Absolutely.
that's what I wanted, just an
Yes.
update on it.
Okay. F14, update on possible new landfill.
Yeah, just want to update on it.
Council has approved and we have purchased the land that's west of town. And we may be getting additional benefits from it. I mean, we are going to work and start working on the procurement process to get someone who will start the process of the engineering, the procurement, the negotiations with TCEQ. It could take anywhere between 3 and 5 years. I'm hoping that we can get it on the lower end of it. The positive side of what we bought is we bought a caliche pit, and our streets department and our water department needs caliche, and we're getting requests from other people about needing to buy caliche, so we may have a revenue source for the end of the project. So it may turn out really good for us from that standpoint, but we have some work to do, and so in the next, I'm going to say 2 to 3 months, we'll have that RFQ out there to get the expertise that we need to start this project moving.
Okay, and again, every time I'm going to Doyle or Shaw Road, I'm trying to look for it. I know it's on the south side of the interstate.
It's on the south side of the interstate where you see that, like there's mounds of dirt that you'll see on the side that are
where
You got,
it's
you
been
got County
excavated
Road
and stuff like that.
419, which is Shaw Road.
Yeah, it's right before Shaw Road.
Okay.
It's off of 209, I think. 209 has that big caliche pad on the.
That's what it is. It is that
Yeah,
caliche.
that is lower
pad.
past the extension.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go under the old press and it's right there.
Okay.
Is there still one tires
209
out there on it? I can't
208.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a significant number of tires out there.
Yeah.
Look for the tires.
Is that what you're-
How many acres is that, Charles?
151 acres.
151 acres.
Yes, sir.
It's already got a caliche pad in there.
It does.
Yeah.
And mining a little caliche and getting it off of there is not gonna hurt the process of clearing and,
Yeah.
designing and excavating for the landfill, so it only helps us a little
I
bit.
wonder if, have you done any boreholes? I wonder if how much caliche is left.
I didn't, we have not. We
They're
need
taking
to
their
explore.
time, caliche, I don't
Yeah,
know.
they have. They have. We have done nothing on it, but I know there's some, and the first ones who are gonna get it is our street department and our water department. Will be doing anything on it.
And just so you'll know, Councilman Graham, my item's right there.
Your what?
My 3 items right there. You're not the only one that gets it that way.
Do we have anything for executive session?
We do not, no ma'am.
No, nothing for executive session?
I think we're good right now. I don't have any updates definitive that I can give you all, so I think we're okay.
Okay.
Unless you all wanna go there for something you have.
No? Okay. So if we're not gonna do executive session, do we have items that we need to discuss at the next city council meeting?
F7 and F10 to bring back,
And F3.
and F3. Not to bring back, but what is TxDOT doing about the overpass on I-20 and 285? The ruts there are awful.
They're waiting until they replace it, I think, and they're doing nothing. We can question about it. I can
mean,
find
that's
out.
getting I mean, when are they gonna do something?
Well,
I mean, we know how TxDOT works.
it is.
So,
Yeah.
those ruts are terrible. I mean, some of these small cars, I mean, they hit those things and they can't get out of them
Yeah,
or
no,
whatever.
I agree.
mean, they're getting deeper and deeper.
Let us inquire, let me inquire with Nestor and Chad and find out if they can give me an update on it.
Okay. And what was that guy that came, he was like from Oklahoma, East Texas, that was offering to do something, project here? Do you remember which one?
Yes, the guy that wants to do the project out in the land that we have.
Yes.
I'm still having conversations with him.
Are you?
The one holdback right now is we met with the owner of the business, and the broker, his broker that's trying to broker the deal was the one that was on the phone with us. And the broker sent me because we talked about leasing the property and then it coming back, but there was with a fee on it. I'm okay with that. But then the broker sent me something back and saying that he has like a broker fee and something like that. I'm not willing to do a broker fee. I'm gonna let it. I mean, that's the company's job from my standpoint. So that's why it hasn't progressed as fast as I wanted it to. But I'm still negotiating that and seeing where we're at with that.
Also, we can discuss the situation, the waiver, what do we need to do with the companies like.
On the record service?
On the record service, yeah.
Anything else?
For information, if you let, next week or next meeting, have what your plans are for the trash cans.
Yes, sir.
So the public, hopefully get the newspaper.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Okay. We can adjourn this meeting. It is 7:14 p.m.